All right, this is our GMC Sierra tweet of the night. PFF says, which team is the best head coach opening? Carolina, Denver, Houston, Indianapolis. Interesting question, Chris, because I think Carolina showed a lot under Wilkes. To me, he should be given a shot to do that based on what he did after they traded Christian McCaffrey. What's your take on that? Which one of those four do you think is the best opportunity?
Wilkes should be getting a real shot to have that job, but he won't. He just won't because he's not an offensive guy, and therefore David Tepper's going to go for a big splashy name. It's not Arizona. I think that's a dysfunctional place, a complete mess. I don't buy Kyler at all as a true franchise quarterback. I don't love Carolina. They have some pieces that I think you'd like, and you can always maybe try to draft a quarterback. I don't know. There's something there. Maybe just David Tepper. I just worry about him as an owner. Is he going to get too involved? I'd like to say them. I think it's still got to be the Indianapolis Colts. I think if you get the right guy there, you get C.J. Stroud or whoever at the top of the draft, which a lot of people are projecting they're going to do, or Bryce Young. That still looks like a roster that's got a decent sort of skeleton to it, or it's got some decent bones. If they were a house, you'd say it has good bones. If you can deal with Jim Irsay, who I think is a bit of a wild card as an owner, then that looks like a pretty attractive destination to me.
Got a lot of callers here. Let's get right to them. And we'll begin with Matt in Butler on line one. Hey, Matt.
Hey guys. Good evening.
Hey.
Hey, just briefly, I hear the comment about Matt Canada. I guess the thing that was most surprising to me is you had not just Kenny Pickett, but many players come out in support of him. 6-8 players. They could have remained silent. They didn't. They talked positively. So they got to like the guy. If they didn't like the guy, they'd have just stayed silent.
Yeah, I mean, you got to take those guys for what they said. You're right. They didn't have to say anything. They chose to when asked, and some of them went, pretty deep into the conversation. Chris, again, I think offensive strategies is a multiple-person thing. I know the offensive coordinator is the guy in charge, and quite frankly, this is the season where everyone hates their own offensive coordinator, which is why there are going to be 6 or 7 openings, and you have fan bases hating all of them. Greg Roman right now is one of the guys down in Baltimore that wants to leave town based on some of the stuff I've heard about him, but it's that time of the year, so we'll see. I mean, the only thing you can do at this point is say, okay, he's the guy. Let's see what happens in year number 3. And he has no contract extension to this point. I don't think he'll get one. It's a prove-it year. We'll find out what he can do.
Well, I think the thing most people agree on that they did well down the stretch was run the ball. Whether you think it was against good teams or not, they still ran it well. Here's the problem. Pat Meyer got a lot of the credit for that from Mike Tomlin. So you say it's like a multi-level sort of thing. It's a multi-layered thing. There's more than one sort of cook in the kitchen putting the offense together. Mike Tomlin certainly holds some sway there too. The guy most responsible, it seems, for them doing the thing they did best wasn't even Matt Canada. That would be troubling to me.
Let's go out to Tony in the Hill District on line number 4. What's up, Tony?
I just want to ask you guys a question. Do you think it's the Penguins organization the reason why that we can't watch none of the Penguins games on any of the channels? Because I'm a huge Penguins fan, but I never can see one on TV. Do you think it's the organization's fault?
Well, what are you talking about? I mean, what are you watching, or what aren't you watching? I don't think he's there, but I mean, they're on unless you don't have cable, right? Chris?
I guess if you have I'm not sure if YouTube TV, which a lot of people I know use, carries the regional sports networks. That would be a big question for me. I don't know if I just haven't had cause to look because I have cable, but I do know there are some people who have, I think, streaming TV services like YouTube TV, and I think AT&T Sportsnet might not be available on that. That would be the one thing I would say.
I don't know if I blame the Penguins on that. That's more of an issue with AT&T Sports and that particular provider. Just like when Pitt got criticized, a lot of people say, I can't watch Pitt games because it's on the ACC network. Well, okay. I mean, I don't know what you're supposed to do in that situation other than find another, provider, I guess, at that point, if you're that unhappy.
I mean, can you blame the Penguins if they were trying to restrict what people were seeing of the team right now, given the way they're playing? Pretty uninspired hockey, right? They might want to hide them for about a month.
Yeah.
No, I know. I know that they are not intentionally hiding it from people. I'm just saying they're playing very bland hockey right now that's got people all ticked off. That's all.
Yeah, and it's January, and it normally is one of those things where it gains momentum as they go, and hopefully they'll be in a position where they lead up to a playoff run, and people will, get into that a little bit. Let's go to Jeff in Squirrel Hill. Jeff, welcome to the Sports Call. Go right ahead.
Good evening, guys. Molsey, I've got to take exception with the uninspired comment. I think that both Jason Zucker and Friedman are playing really scrappy games.
What percent? Okay, fair. Zucker is playing really well. Friedman's a complete maniac. That's 2 out of 20 skaters, right?
Right.
Or no, 2 out of 18 skaters. So it's a very low percentage of their roster that's playing in a way that makes you think that they give a crap right now.
Right, but not only are those two guys really mucking it up in the corners, but they're both Jewish players, and they both scored tonight. I would venture to say that the only team that has 2 Jewish players, and I think that's great, and I wish I were sharing that news during a victory, but I just wanted to say muzzle tough.
The thing that was disturbing tonight is I thought they were not the better team on the ice. And, the other night against Anaheim, I thought they were. Anaheim's just not very good. But you gotta make good on some of your chances. Mike Sullivan could talk about, we got opportunities, puck didn't go in. Well, puck needs to go in. You're a team that has a lot of veteran guys here, Chris. You better score those. Especially, it shouldn't come down to where you have to pull the goalie and score 24 seconds against that team at home, period.
To put a capper on the Zucker point specifically, if they had guys who just, were given that level of compete night in and night out, I think you might have a situation where they weren't needing what you're describing here. Not having Letang and Petrie is obviously a huge problem right now. Same with Jari. You can't make a full evaluation of this team, but I do worry, Bob, that because they are so accustomed to making the playoffs, that there is a certain mental coasting that they do right now, and they are starting to get long enough in the tooth where they're not going to be able to get away with that. And it's going to sneak up on them one year. It might be this year where they realize, we can't just take like a month and a half of the season off and then just turn it on at the right time. Teams around them are getting too good, and they're too young, and they're not afraid of the Penguins anymore.
No, and there are a lot of those teams in the Eastern Conference especially. And, you look on the other side of it in the Atlantic, Toronto looks like a team, if it gets the kind of goaltending it needs out of Matt Murray specifically, then they could be a force in there. There's so many good teams in their conference, and they're going to have to deal with them all. Let's go to Randy in Tarentum before we go to a break here, Chris. Go ahead, Randy. Oh, Nancy. I'm sorry, Nancy.
Hi, Bob. Hi, Chris. Hey, I have a comment to make. I agree with you, Chris, about bringing Matt back. I think it's a bad idea, but you know what? Give him a new pair of glasses, and maybe he'll see what we see on TV, the plays that he missed.
Well, first of all, I think it's far more complicated. People who watch don't know the intricacies of what goes on. I got into a thing the other day, Chris, with Mike McDaniel down there. He took a lot of abuse for what happened with that situation where he didn't know what down it was, but that's on him, certainly. But you only have so much time to make these quick decisions, and when you're told one thing and it goes to another and then you got to change, I'm not making an excuse. I'm just saying there's a lot of stuff that goes on in those moments, especially with a guy like Skylar Thompson, who was, third-string quarterback, not really was thrown into this when he hadn't had a lot of experience with it. So all of that led to false starts, a lot of bad things. So I think there's much more to it than what people see. And
well, let me just ask you this. Matt Canada's been on the job as OC for 2 years. Stripping away all the other variables, did he have this, did he have that, was this fair to him or not? They were 26th in scoring this year. What were they, not much better last year?
Maybe worse this year than last.
Maybe worse?
Yeah.
Has he done a good job? Is 26th in scoring this year a good job by him?
No, and I would say that, and I think I told you this. I thought that they would make a change, but they decided not to. So they must see something that they like. Players have told them that. They made the decision. Now it's up to them to make sure that decision works, and if not, then we'll be sitting here a year from now talking about why they waited an extra year and cost them time under Kenny Pickett. We got to go to a break anyway. We'll take it. Come back with more right here on Pittsburgh CW.